You know, it's funny. We live in a world that is just obsessed with perfection. We want everything new, shiny, flawless. And yet, we can't help but be drawn to the exact opposite, can we? There's something about a crumbling building or peeling paint that just pulls us in. So let's get into it and unlock the hidden allure of all that beautiful decomposition and disintegration.
So I've got a question for you, and be honest. What's more beautiful, a brand new, perfectly constructed building or an old ruin that's slowly being reclaimed by nature? See, we're all conditioned to fear entropy, to fight against things breaking down. But what if the real artistry, the real beauty, is in embracing that whole process?
And this fascination, it isn't just some weird modern quirk. Nope, it's a deep-seated human feeling. And it's so common that there's actually a fantastic word for it.
Ruinenlust. It's German for Ruinenlust. This idea really took off during the Romantic era, and it was a direct pushback against the Enlightenment's obsession with everything being rational, perfect, and orderly. While society was all about perfect lines and perfect shapes, the Romantics found something way more compelling in things that were wild, incomplete, and yeah, a little bit irrational. Ruins were a total escape.
So that's what we're going to explore here. We're going to dive into the psychology, the philosophy, and even the hard science behind why we're so drawn to decay. We're going to figure out why we find so much beauty, not just in the act of creation, but in that inevitable, beautiful process of things falling apart.
All right, let's start with what's going on inside our own heads. How do these decaying spaces actually make us feel, and why do we find ourselves so drawn to them?
Well, psychologically, ruins hit us on a bunch of different levels. For one, they're a memento mori, a really tangible, in-your-face reminder that, hey, nothing lasts forever, not even our biggest ambitions. They can also spark this deep sense of nostalgia and offer a kind of quiet solitude that's almost impossible to find in our noisy world. But I think the most important thing is this: they invite us to become storytellers.
This quote just nails it. Think about it. A complete, perfect building. It's already got a story. It has a purpose. But a ruin is an open invitation. It's got what you might call a narrative gap, and our imagination just rushes in to fill that void. We start piecing together the clues, wondering what happened here, and suddenly we're a part of its history.
So, our minds are basically primed to love ruins. But are there philosophies out there that give us a language for this feeling? Let's look at a concept that totally flips the Western fear of imperfection on its head.
And for that, we can turn to the Japanese concept of wabi-sabi. This is such a powerful idea. It doesn't just put up with imperfection, it actually celebrates it. It finds this profound beauty in the natural cycle of things: growth, decay, and everything in between. It sees real wisdom in things that are humble, weathered, and not meant to last forever.
And wabi-sabi isn't just an abstract thought. You can literally see it and touch it. Think of a cracked ceramic bowl that's been mended with gold, a practice called kintsugi, or the beautiful weathered patina on a piece of old wood. These aren't seen as flaws you need to hide. No, they're the marks of a story, a history that should be honored. It's all about the fragile beauty of just existing.
Now, this connection between decay and beauty isn't just some philosophical idea. It's actually baked into the fundamental laws of the entire universe. I'm talking about a scientific principle I guarantee you've heard of. I'm talking about entropy, but simply, it's the universe's unstoppable march from order to disorder. Everything, from a star to a sandcastle to a piece of art, is subject to this law. It is the engine of all change and all decay. This visual is a great way to get it. On the left, you've got a super-ordered, low-entropy state. Think of a perfect pyramid of blocks. But over time, that system naturally, inevitably, moves to the state on the right. More disordered, more chaotic, a high-entropy state. This isn't a failure. It's just physics doing its thing. And here's the kicker. This process only goes one way. It's irreversible. You can't unscramble an egg, right? You can't put the spilled milk back in the bottle. This relentless, one-way increase in disorder is what physicists call the arrow of time. It's literally why time only moves forward. So, how in the world do artists use a law of thermodynamics? Well, they translate these huge, universal concepts into a visual language we can all understand. That relentless arrow of time shows up as peeling paint or creeping rust. And increasing disorder, that's not just chaos, it becomes rich texture and visual complexity in a piece of art. And here is a fantastic comparison.
On the left, you've got this clean, ordered, contained, low-entropy system. It's all under control. Then you look to the right at Huber's painting, and it's just this explosion of disorder. It's a perfect visual for a high-entropy state. Artists are out there exploring this entire spectrum, from perfect order to beautiful, beautiful chaos. Okay, this brings us to a final, really radical idea. What if an artist doesn't just show us decay, but actually invites it in as a creative partner? What if entropy isn't just the subject of the art, but becomes the medium itself?
This right here is Robert Smithson's incredible earthwork Spiral Jetty. It's out in Utah's Great Salt Lake and is made of mud, salt crystals, and rocks. Here's the crazy part. From the moment he finished it, it was designed to change, to decay, to be totally transformed by the world around it.
Smithson's goal was never to build some permanent monument that would last forever. Not at all. He saw entropy, the rising and falling water levels, the salt growing on the rocks, as the central process of the artwork. The jetty literally disappears and reappears. It erodes and rebuilds. It is never the same thing twice.
And he wasn't alone in this. The artist Eva Hesse would intentionally use materials like latex and fiberglass because she knew they wouldn't last. She knew they would yellow and sag and crack over time. For her, the art's inevitable decay wasn't some flaw to be fixed. It was the final, crucial chapter of its story.
And that right there is the answer to our paradox. For these artists, and for all of us with a little bit of that Ruinenlust, decay isn't a failure. It's not the sad end of the story. It's the very thing that makes the art feel alive.
So I'll leave you with this to chew on. We spend so much time and energy fighting against time, right? But what if we just embraced it? What if we understood that the marks of time aren't scars, but a source of real beauty and meaning? Maybe the most beautiful things aren't the ones built to be permanent, but the ones that show us the elegance of falling apart.